What is up, everybody? I am the host of PSNpartypodcast for this week, Sentinel17. Thank you so much for joining us. Also joining me is my always spectacular co-host, BMG, BaldManGamer.
Good evening.
How are you feeling today, BMG?
I'm still not 100%. For people, obviously, I don't know if anyone catches Stasis chat, but I was quite under the weather late afternoon yesterday. Not so good. Today I've been feeling a bit, but I've kind of leveled out a bit. Still not 100%. I'll probably say about 75%. But yeah, no. Happy to be here, glad to be going, and great as always to be on with the ever awesome Sentinel17. So no, great to be here.
It's good to hear that you are starting to feel better. Hopefully, especially because for those that are listening, we will be having a special episode tomorrow of, I believe it's to cover the Xbox event under the Xbox banner, of course, but of course PSN Party Podcast, Xbox Live Party Podcast. We're both, part of the same team. So hopefully you get to feeling better, and tomorrow whenever we're actually covering that, hopefully, your illness is in the past. Aside from, being sick, what have you been doing, like, as far as gaming goes this past week? And I say what have you been doing because you can consider things like The Last of Us TV show. You can consider that part of gaming. And it just came out, so I do kind of include that in the conversation. Have you been watching that show? Have you seen it yet? What have you been playing?
Oh, yes. Episode 2 aired yesterday, and I watched it. Again, another brilliant show. Outdone the first episode. It reminds me a lot of the game. There are some stuff that are a bit different, things that you don't see in the game that you see in the show, so they have changed it up a little bit. Again, amazing episode, and I highly recommend anyone to watch it, even if you're not a PlayStation fan, gaming fan or anything like that. The show's it's just brilliant. Really enjoying that. So I've watched that. Other than that, I've been playing the Mobile Game of the Year and XBN Mobile Game of the Year, Marvel Snap. I'm still hooked on it. It's just such an amazing game, and I just can't put it down. Every chance I get, I play it at work. I'm playing it. Even sat watching film. I started watching Limitless just before show because I thought I want to watch a bit of that, and I'm just sat there playing more Marvel Snap instead of actually watching the film. So I've jumped into a bit of WWE2K23 again, playing a bit more of that because it's like jumping in, having a bit of a laugh, having a bit of fun. And it's just good, really. I like to do a bit more of the multiplayer stuff. So, if anyone has WWE2K22, I do have it on Xbox side, not the PlayStation side, because I got quite a good deal on it. So, if anyone has Xbox and you want to do a bit of WWE online, hit me up. Again, a bit more Star Wars Battlefront 2. Been playing a bit more of that just because it's one of them games you can just pick up, play all-out warfare in the Star Wars universe, and it's just fun. It's good fun. And I'm on Act 3, I think, of Quantum Break. I've kind of got the goal to play that again. So I'm past I've watched the first episode. It's part of the TV series that's in the game. I think I'm Act 3 into that. So it's just that's about it. Really, I've all been playing. Not a great deal more than that for the moment, but good games coming out soon. So our plates are going to be filled.
Definitely. And for those of you listening, once you play Marvel Snap or once you go Marvel, there is no other. That's how it is, right?
Oh, yes. Marvel Snap is, it should be it should be compulsory and law for everybody to play it because it is just such a good game.
Right.
And Fimber, if you think Forspoken is the game that would make you get a PlayStation 5, you need to burn your eyes out your sockets because that game is god awful.
Wow. Yeah, we're going to talk about that in this podcast, by the way.
Titanic was more enthralling than Forspoken.
Yeah, you know what? And ironically, I would say if you're a PlayStation fan, the game that you do want to play, or just to buy a PS5 to play, is ironically Astro's Playroom because it's so great. You know.
Yeah, and you actually get it free. Yeah, Astro's Playroom actually comes pre-installed with your PlayStation
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend it. It's good. It gives you the full features of the DualSense, so you get to experience everything it's got to offer. Yeah, a lot of the games at the moment aren't fully utilizing it, which was going to happen. You know,
Yeah.
we kind of knew that not everyone is going to adopt the full controllers of it. You know, what
Yeah.
it can do. It's going to be more first party, and I would also say outside of Astro's Playroom and Sifu, because Sifu uses the DualSense features and the haptics.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say anything else has actually fully utilized it yet. But apart from, sorry, I do apologise. There is actually also Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart do use it, but outside of them games, maybe Returnal a bit. But other than that, that's about it really. But most games are cross gen at the moment, so
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a shame. And Stubbs, I played the demo of Forsaken, and it was bad. It was more than bad. It's
Same
like
here. Yep.
yeah, time of my life I will never ever get back. And I've also watched some gameplay, some reviews. I've shopped around a bit of people who actually picked up the game, and it's the same consensus. So, but we're going to discuss that later anyway. So don't worry
Definitely.
about that. What about you, Sentinel? What have you been playing? Or watching?
I mean, I've been playing a lot of House Flipper again. The luxury DLC that just came out for the House Flipper. There's just so much to it, and I'm a big House Flipper fan. I bought it on both PlayStation and Xbox. When it first came out, and I mean, it is on Game Pass. The Garden Flipper DLC and that luxury DLC is not available on Game Pass. I bought those, but it is a game that I've played extensively both on Xbox and PlayStation. I don't have the DLCs yet on PlayStation. I do on Xbox, so that's where I play the DLCs. But if you enjoy House Flipper, I would say definitely pick up those DLCs. And of course, House Flipper 2 is right around the corner, and it will be coming to consoles eventually. So if you do enjoy House Flipper, definitely think about picking it up. Showing support for the team, for the studio, obviously, because they're not, involved with a major publisher. They are independent, obviously.
Yeah. I bet. Do you play that? Is it Power Wash Simulator? Do you play that?
I have played that. I've played through a lot of levels, but there was just like I think Vampire Survivors had come out, and it's like there were just so many games that were coming out. So I just didn't have the time because Power Wash Simulator, for people that don't know, some of these levels do require a lot of time, for you to completely clean the level. So it's a big time requirement.
Have you seen the new DLC that's just come out for Power Wash Simulator?
I have not. No.
It's you get to go and clean Croft Manor from Tomb Raider.
Oh, I have heard of that. I did hear someone talking about it yesterday, I believe.
Yes, yeah. I saw a few clips of it. To be honest, power washing, do that here on the yard and stuff like that. It is not fun at all. I hate every second about it, and the fact that they made a game about it is just like, no, I'm not having it. I'm still trying to pitch my idea of a simulator game. It's called Queuing Simulator. And the idea is you're in a long queue, and as you're progressing through this queue, a murder happens. So as you're moving up in the queue, you have to solve this murder before you get to the front of the queue and get served at the post office.
Wow.
It's got money written all over it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you just have to pitch it to your Uncle Jim Ryan. I'm sure he'll pick it up.
Yeah, he's not answering my calls lately. I think he's fallen out with me. I'm not too sure, but yeah. If anyone's listening that in development or anything like that, hit me up and I'll sign over the rights to that idea for you for a nice lump sum.
Nice. Now, I'm surprised you didn't talk about Destiny 2 at all up to this point.
Yeah,
I did see someone mention in the chat that Destiny 2 is down right now.
Yeah, they've. I saw the post just before. They have taken it down. There's been an issue with triumphs and seals for people that are playing, so they've currently taken it offline while they update that, sort that out. But literally just before I come on, I did get a notification there is a update to Destiny 2, so I think they may have fixed that issue now. But yeah, Destiny 2, the best live service FPS game on the planet. Highly recommend playing it, because next month we get Lightfall, the new expansion, which I am looking forward to. I'm looking forward to jumping into.
Nice. I know a lot of people who support Destiny are very diehard fans, you know. And I'm sure when Bungie was acquired by PlayStation, you know, it was kind of a hope of PlayStation fans that they would be getting exclusive content, but I don't know if they have up to this point.
No, nothing yet. I think it was kind of understood. Everything that is coming out, everything that what future games that are coming out are going to be cross-platform. I think the only sort of exclusive content I think you're going to see is if you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber, you may get a skin or a weapon or something like that. But as in content-wise, expansion-wise, season-wise, that's going to be multi-platform. Up to as we understand it at the moment.
Yeah.
But there is an Assassin's Creed crossover as well at the moment.
Yeah, that's multi-platform, right?
Yes, it is, yeah.
I wasn't sure because I know, you know, there were some perks for like PlayStation basically like if you're playing on PlayStation on a multi-platform game like Marvel's Avengers, you could get Spider-Man, but you couldn't get it on Xbox, obviously. You know, speaking of course, Marvel's Avengers, that's one of our stories today. For anyone in the chat that doesn't know, or anyone listening to this podcast, Marvel's Avengers is essentially getting ended, I guess, closed, disbanded, whatever you want to call it. The support for the game will end on September 30th of 2023. It originally launched first week of September of 2020, and I don't think anyone was really surprised that Square Enix said, hey, you know what, we're ending support for this game. What did you think about Marvel's Avengers? Was it a game that you really enjoyed playing, or was it just something that did not really resonate with you?
I picked up Marvel Avengers day one. The story's absolutely brilliant. The story mode, the content, the character you play, how you bring the Avengers back, the twist later on in the story, is brilliant. It's a really good, and I really enjoyed it. The live service multiplayer end game content was very confusing because you have like at the time, I think they've actually changed it at the moment. You had about 8 different currencies to get different things. You upgraded your armor, as you go along, but there was no physical change. It was like your suit, whatever skin you was wearing would always stay the same. But you would upgrade the armor. It was hard to work out what missions you could play with friends, what missions you couldn't. The roadmap was all over the place. It's Crystal Dynamics don't make that kind of game. They make story games, single player action adventure games, and that's what they did. And then Square Enix kind of pushed them into doing this live service, and it does play good. It's a bit repetitive here and there, but if you get on the missions with your friends, you can have good fun. You can have Iron Man flying through the skies, while Black Widow and Captain America are taking enemies out on the ground, and you can swoop in as Iron Man or Thor, and so the mechanics are good. You can see how, from me personally, how it was a shoehorn thing. And I like Avengers. I'm actually currently re-downloading it. because I want to jump back into that. They optimized it for the new consoles, and it looks and plays amazing. It's just the lack of content in the multiplayer stuff, but they have introduced a further 4 or 5 characters that have a full story to play through, which is really, really, really good. So you've got Black Panther in there, you got Winter Soldier. There was a Hulk DLC that I need to get through. All free. They didn't charge for any of it. It was kind of like a way to apologize, giving you all this, extra stuff for nothing.
Yeah.
But to answer Stubbs' question, our server's being switched off. What's going to happen is in March, there is going to be the final update and content drop, and there'll be no more after that. And it's end of September or September 23rd, somewhere around there. That is when full development stops. There'll be no more updates. That is the end of everything. But what they have said, 31st of March, everything on the store is going free. All the, the legendary skins and all that, rare skins, everything's going free on the marketplace. So even if you were, because they've got some really good, amazing skins on there. If you were 50-50, you were going to play it. It is in Game Pass. It is in PlayStation Plus Extra tier. I highly recommend giving it a play. Maybe wait till March when everything goes free so you can just get all the skins. But they are going to keep the game running. I do believe September they will delist the game because obviously they don't want to renew that Marvel license to keep it going.
Yeah.
But it's a shame. It's sad to see that it is being discontinued, and as Fimber says, Avengers, Disassemble. It's a shame to see because the game had potential. There was a lot there that they could have done, but I'd put it down to management. Management just steered him in the wrong direction. It would have been, I don't know, you mentioned this yesterday on Stasis Chat, that, Guardians of the Galaxy, single-player game where you've got a team, absolutely amazing, brilliant game, and it is an amazing game. The music, the play, the banter between all the different characters, the people you meet, absolutely brilliant. And that's what Avengers should have been. It should have been a single-player narrative, story-driven game. They could have still released expansions after the fact, and as Red has said, it didn't know what it wanted to be. That's true. But I wouldn't put that on the developer side of stuff. It's more of the management, the direction they were pushed to go in, because Square Enix are all about let's try and get as much money as we can. And it's a shame because I remember when the original teaser trailer dropped and you saw all the destruction and all the damage, and Captain America's shield was half destroyed and that, and it was like, oh damn, this is going to be good. But it came too late as well. They had, I believe, from what I've heard and stuff I've looked up, the game was originally designed to release after Endgame, which would have been the perfect time for it to release. Story-wise, story was done. The story was done. It was playable. There wasn't an issue. But Square Enix wouldn't allow it to be released until the live service side was up and running. And Crystal Dynamics, they struggled with that because that's not their forte. That's not an area they work in. So, and there was so many problems. They couldn't get it to work. They couldn't get things to run right. Finding a game with other people was near enough impossible. And it just delayed the game and delayed it again and delayed it again. And then when it did drop, people weren't happy with the cast because it wasn't what we know as the Avengers, as we know them in the films. It wasn't them. And it's just a shame that this is the state we're going. Sorry, I've got a correction. Sorry, Redders. It was meant to drop between after Infinity War and before Endgame. Yeah, you are right. Yeah, sorry, I got the films mixed up. But yeah, it was meant to drop in between them, and it would have done well. It would have done well, and there are still people that play it now, but it's just all over the shop. The menus are all over for the live service, and it's just a shame that's what happened. And I am quite sad to see that it's going. But Crystal Dynamics have now been sold to Embracer Group, so maybe that played a part in it, in the licensing. Who technically owns that IP license, and with the studio now being owned by a different company, there's probably a number of things that that feed into that. But it's sad to see. And but I will be jumping back in. So if anyone does want to play, hit me up, and I'm happy to jump in and play.
I think, I think, and I pre-ordered Marvel's Avengers. To be honest, I don't remember if I got it for PlayStation 4 or my Xbox One X. I do remember that I did pre-order it. There were some definite glitches and bugs with it. I remember there was a game-breaking bug near one of the final missions where you're playing as Miss Marvel, where it completely kicks you out of the game. I had it happen repeatedly. It was a good game. As far as the storyline goes, I know everyone was kind of bent out of shape that they didn't have the likenesses of the Hollywood actors, but that would have cost a lot of money, obviously.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's like anytime you have talented developers, it does not matter how talented they are, you put them under shit leadership, and you're gonna have shit results. You look at Forspoken, and that's another game we're going to talk about here in a little bit. You look at Forspoken, it's a Square Enix game. It doesn't matter how talented the developers are. If they're under shit management, it's going to be shit results. You look at Marvel's Avengers, of course. It feels like they looked at what went wrong with Marvel's Avengers, and they told Eidos Montreal, I believe they were the ones that made Guardians of the Galaxy, correct?
Yes,
They told them, hey, you know what? Make single player. Don't even worry about multiplayer. Let's focus it on single player only. And everyone saw how Guardians of the Galaxy did. I don't think I've talked to a single person that has said Guardians of the Galaxy was a bad game. Now Square Enix has said, "Oh, it did meet sales expectations." It's like, but I think I don't remember if it was Capcom or if it was Square Enix. One of those companies was wanting like 10 or 15 million copies sold for this title, and it's like, you can't expect that. It's not Call of Duty. It's not going to pull those types of numbers. So the management already has an unrealistic idea of how successful they want this game to be. And it's like, first of all, it's like the management needs to temper their expectations. We've heard them say that about gamers. Oh, temper your expectations. It's like, no, the management of these huge publishers, number one, they need to temper their expectations. And number two, if a studio has a strength like making single-player games like Crystal Dynamics does, leave them alone and let them make a single-player game, and don't force stuff in that doesn't fit in the game. And it feels like that was a big problem with Marvel's Avengers, what eventually killed it. And hopefully, from this point on, we'll see people that make superhero games avoid things that kind of ruined Marvel's Avengers. I don't really know any other. I mean, it's like Suicide Squad might have that stuff, possibly. I know some negative stuff came out about that. We're not really going to talk about that in the podcast, but if you've been following Suicide Squad, there was a leaked image that suggested stuff. But I think that it's important for a lot of these publishers to look at other companies' successes, like what made Batman the Arkham series successful and what made the Spider-Man series successful, and to really focus on doing the good things and avoiding the bad things. Because you can have an enormous brand like we've just seen, Marvel's Avengers, that millions and millions of people love, and it ends up just falling apart because you have poor management wanting shit decisions made. That's essentially what it is.
Yeah, it's just a shame because, like I say, Guardians of the Galaxy is probably one of my favorite superhero games I've ever played. It's well written, it's well done. The characters do look different from the film, which is good. I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, well, this doesn't look like Chris Pratt," but to be honest, nobody wants to look like Chris Pratt. and I don't think I would have played it if he was in it, if I'm honest. But it was a good game, and it's just with all the negativity after Marvel's Avengers released, it just overshadowed. People automatically thought Guardians of the Galaxy was awful,
Yeah.
and it isn't. It's such a good game. The music, all the Easter eggs relating to things back from the 80s. It's just so good, and it's a shame it didn't do as well commercially when it released. I know it dropped onto both. Let's say both subscription services, and it did get a bit of an audience. But
Yeah.
it's a shame that the direction Avengers went in has caused all this, and it should have never been a live service game. If anything, maybe like go the direction that Suicide Squad's gone in. That Suicide Squad can be played entirely as a single player game, but you can also play it co-op, so you can have one or two other people play with you. And that's what Avengers should have been. Have a couple of, because you're always with another character for 90% of the game.
Yeah.
You could have done it that way, where you could have just made it a co-op game, and that's it. But yeah, like I say, story-wise, just gets overshadowed every time because of how bad the live service element was.
And since we're talking about Square Enix games, PlayStation's most recent release, Forspoken, is not. I mean, it seems like the community is somewhat divided about this. You have a lot of people pointing this stuff out, and I know BMG, you had said previously about Forspoken having a huge barren open world. A lot of people are pointing out that the character models are not necessarily on the level where they should be. There was a live streamer pointing out that when these characters drank from a glass, that their mouth didn't move. They held it like 3 inches away from their mouth and poured like they were pouring the drink in their mouth. There's also the super cringe dialogue. There's and then it's like, for obvious reasons, I'm not gonna talk about the controversy regarding the protagonist's background or certain assumptions obviously made by the Square Enix team. I mean, you can read on Twitter for that, but we're just talking about like the gaming world and non-controversial stuff. I know I played the demo. I was like, this is not for me. And did you play the demo, and what did you think of it? And what do you think so far of everything we've heard about Forspoken since it's out in the wild?
Yeah, I played as well. I did play the demo of Forspoken, and if I'm honest, it made what's it called, Balan's Wonderworld look good. That's how bad this game came across to me, and that game is awful. Yeah, the demo didn't play well. You kind of didn't give any direction on what you were doing, and I didn't enjoy it at all. I really didn't enjoy it. I didn't get far into it, and I just went, you know what, I'm wasting time, and as we all know, time is precious. To waste on things we don't enjoy. So I deleted it. I've watched some gameplay because I thought maybe it's a demo, maybe a lot of these things they may have addressed. So I watched some gameplay, looked at some reviews, and the game just looks boring. Big, it's split up into 4 sections for 4 different bosses and the main boss in the end. And it's, apart from like they're putting like a color filter on different areas, it was pretty much the same. There wasn't much going on, and the loads of tedious side quests, fetch quests, go and chase a cat home because a cat's lost. And it's like the dialogue, the parkour's amazing. It was great. The movement, they got that down to a T, but that's not enough to save this game. The dialogue alone, you don't really get to build a rapport with the characters, the NPCs in the game. They're just, you're not really getting any of that. And that stupid thing, you get some, and it's like a bracelet, and the bracelet talks to you. No one else can hear it but yourself, and the bracelet's name is Cuff. What an original name, Cuff. And it's like just, you constantly get, this move is meant to be made from going from a distance. You're meant to use this move close quarters. And, and it just doesn't look fun. it didn't do very well Metacritic wise. I think it's currently sitting at 67. I think,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of people I follow that I trust. That have same sort of taste in games as me that I trust, and looking at their reviews, it's like, don't touch this game. It's bad. The story's all over the shop. A lot of the dialogue doesn't make sense. The main character you play, is it Frey or Frey, I think she's called,
Yeah.
just seems to F and blind at everyone all the time, which, which doesn't really make much sense as the story goes on. But yeah, it's not something I'm going to pick up. If it ever came to one of the subscription services, I'd probably maybe jump into it if they've managed to fix some things. But it's great having big open worlds that look good. But if there's nothing happening, there's nothing around. It's like, well, what's the point? It just seems a waste. They could have put towns, villages in there. People wandering around, going about day-to-day stuff. Anything. They could have done something apart from leaving most of it barren, which clearly something they were going for. The game got delayed, which, I can't really see what they actually fixed, if I'm honest. But no, I don't know if anyone. I've got different tastes in different games, whether people agree with that or not, but I would highly recommend not picking this game up.
Yeah. And it's like before the demo came out, when they were first talking about this game, when they were showing off some of the stuff, I was actually interested in checking it out, And the more I learned about this game, the more I was just like, this game is probably not for me. And there might be some people out there that are playing this game and they love it, but there are also people out there that are playing Disintegration. For those of you that don't know, Disintegration, I paid $50 for it. I played it an hour and a half and I deleted it off my hard drive. So there are people out there playing Forspoken. There are people out there playing other games that have a very limited following, and just because they enjoy it doesn't necessarily mean it's a good game. I mean, we all love bad games. Like, I am a big supporter of Days Gone. That also kind of would fall into the same category as Forspoken. It has a lot of haters. And just because I like it and I enjoyed playing it and I got the platinum trophy for it, doesn't mean it's a good game. It just doesn't. So, it's like, if there's people out there enjoying Forspoken, that's fine. However, I want to throw this out there. Just because you guys enjoy it doesn't mean it's actually a good game. It could be mediocre. It could be moderate. It could be just playable enough, and that's fine. But as it stands right now, the majority of people just are not. Forspoken is just not a game that they're enjoying. And it's unfortunate because it's like, you want to see, especially PlayStation. It's an exclusive title. You want to see it land, and hit the ground running and do really well. You really want to see that, especially with 2023, because there's so many other games coming out this year. So it's like, if a game is not at least good, where people are, more or less praising it, it's going to be forgotten in like 30 days because there's so much other stuff coming out. It's just, and like I said, it's not necessarily the developers, but I mean, like we were saying, it is Square Enix. It seems like it's a recurring problem with Square Enix,
But the other thing it's got going against it, tomorrow, Dead Space remake drops.
Oh, yeah. It's getting massacred. Yep.
Yeah, it don't really stand a chance. I remember playing Dead Space years ago. Enjoyed it. I'm not really into horror games because I just can't really stand horror in a game. But I played it. It was good. I did enjoy it to an extent. But to release a game like Forspoken a day before the huge first title of the year drops is you're just literally putting it out to die. And it should have been delayed again, to be honest. It should have come out.
Definitely.
It feels like it was more rushed out and pushed out before it was ready. And it's a shame. It's a shame to see because they've got some talented writers behind it. And this is the other thing, Gary Whitta is on Kind of Funny Xcast, and he's written some good films. He did Book of Eli with Denzel Washington. He did Star Wars Rogue One, which is an amazing film. If anyone hasn't watched it, it's probably one of the best actual Star Wars films they've ever done.
Yeah, agreed.
And it's a shame, him along with the other writers were kind of given a direction. They had to go in and write a story around that. But the way, story-wise in what they're trying to tell, it's a good story. But the way it's implemented through the gameplay and the way it plays out, it's just awful. And it's hard to want to push through it. And it's a shame to see.
Yeah. Speaking of publishers that do not necessarily know what they're doing, Grand Theft Auto Online hacks worsen as players warn not to play at all. And the reason why I open with that is because, and we're going to get into this in just a second, but Rockstar Games is pretty much notorious now for not listening to their fan base, save Red Dead Online or any of that other stuff. And of course, the GTA Definitive Edition has tons of problems, and of course now you have Grand Theft Auto Online. It's completely crazy. There's an article on InsiderGaming.com. It says in the last few days, the PC version of GTA Online has found itself plagued by some of the most malicious hacks and exploits the platform has ever seen. For years, GTA Online hacks have been ongoing and troublesome issue, but this new wave that's reportedly being driven by the GTA 5 source code leak that occurred in 2022 is on another level entirely. For players logging in without a firewall, several things can happen. They can lose their stats, they could find their stats being totally modified, their accounts banned, their data corrupted, and their PC impacted by a particularly aggressive cheat engine. BMG, were you ever at any point a fan of the GTA Online experience?
Yeah, I've actually invested a fair bit of time, and I have to disagree with the statement about Rockstar not listening to the fans. I'm a fan of GTA, and they're doing exactly what I want, giving me GTA 5 on every platform possible.
I see. Wow. Okay, so you're like the little small sliver, like 1/10% of Rockstar fans. I got it. Okay, that's cool.
That's it.
Wow. Yeah.
But GTA Online, to be honest, it was just fun. This big open world of a city where you can steal anything, destroy anything, fight other people, do heists and, things like that, sell heists. It was fun. It really is good fun. And I have invested a lot of time in there. I even bought the flying DeLorean because I wanted a flying car, And it was a good game. It is good, and the online component was good. You could be there doing a mission, then all of a sudden some idiot comes flying in with a helicopter and crashes, and turn out to a bit of a war. It was good. The premise of it is good, but now it's been hacked. Kind of has gone the way that Titanfall 2 has gone. Titanfall 2 multiplayer is fun. Having mechs in there running around as the pilots is fun. But it's been hacked that much that you just can't play it anymore. It's pointless playing it. And Grand Theft Auto Online is literally at the same point where, it's been recommended not to play now because literally there's no point. You can't, when you're logging in and people are just blowing you up and killing you and bugging the missions and stuff like that. It's like, well, what's the point? I'm no longer getting any enjoyment. It was good when random crazy things would just happen because that was fun. It was something unexpected. It was fun, and you had a laugh, and you could laugh about it. But now you're literally, you could start a mission, and due to some of the hacks that are on GTA Online now, people can just bug out the mission, cause you to fail it every time. Every time you respawn, you're just being killed straight away. And I just think it's something I will never go back to. I'm not going to play it again. Story, I keep jumping into here and there because it's just fun. You can have fun without worrying about other people jumping your game. But I think the online's kind of run its course now, and I think they're going to have to come up with something and do something different for GTA 6 when it comes out in 2030.
Yeah, and I know according to all the leaks we have, they're still doing the multi protagonist approach, which I think is a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think they really need to look at all the missteps they've made so far with Grand Theft Auto 5 when it came out on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, because it is that old. And they need to learn from them, not necessarily keep making these same mistakes over just because they're so big they don't have to listen to people. Because eventually the gamers are going to get fed up with that, and, they're going to have more people wanting to buy the games used or on sale than they are buying the games new.
Yeah, I personally wanted them to do, whether it be an expansion or a smaller Grand Theft Auto with just Trevor. Trevor is the star of that game. He's absolutely psychotic, crazy, and hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I like Trevor, but I liked Franklin and Lamar better. Again, it goes back to the Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I loved how Franklin was just trying to get out of the life, and Lamar kept dragging him back in. In my opinion, I felt like that was the best side of the Grand Theft Auto 5 experience, because I could completely understand, he's trying to make something out of his life, and he's got that friend, and we all have that friend that is still doing the same shit they were doing 10 years ago, and they're still not doing anything that's reputable, and they're, the more you hang around with them, the more you get dragged back down, and it's like playing the Franklin and Lamar part. I was like, yep, that's that was Grand Theft Auto 5 for me. Yeah, Trevor was a close second. I did not like the Michael DeSanta part at all.
No.
I kind of wish they would have given you an option where Michael DeSanta could have divorced his wife and said, take the kids, get out, because they were annoying as hell.
The way you meet Trevor, though, was just awesome. How you actually introduced that character coming in was absolutely hilarious. I was in hysterics how he was introduced. I won't say it on here because I don't want to demonetize us or anything like that.
Yes.
But it was hilarious. But yeah, Trevor was always my favourite in the game. And I just played him at every chance I got. You had to switch between the other characters to progress the story. But yeah, no, it was good. It was good. And you did get that bit of a crossover into the online with some missions involving Lamar and things like that. But yeah, I think GTA Online now is at that point where it's no point people playing it, because if once it's hacked, it's pointless playing because you can't do anything, and you don't want to start spending real world money on buying things and constantly getting them blown up and damaged and costing more and more to fix them and replace them. It's just about time that they move on now. It is time they move on. I am a GTA 5 lover. I love the Grand Theft Auto series. I've played them all, bought them all, enjoyed them all. I was playing the original Grand Theft Auto on the PlayStation 1 Classic, which I got for Christmas.
Nice.
And hard as hell to control without having analog sticks, because you got using the original PlayStation controller, which is crazily how we played games back then is beyond me. But yeah, I've been a fan.
It's because we weren't used to the quality of life improvements. That's what it was,
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, no, it is time that Rockstar move on. Clearly, they're not investing resources into fixing this problem, which kind of, in a way, it probably works out good for them in a way, because they would probably use this as a reason to transition over to GTA 6 with the new GTA 6 Online, because we know we're going to get a new Grand Theft Auto Online. So kind of like Warzone moved on to Warzone 2. Same sort of thing. They're just gonna make it so everyone moves over to that because it's the better, more secure and hack-free version of Grand Theft Auto Online. So that's probably why they're not really doing any of this, really actually tackling the problem, because in the long run it works out better for them.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, they've been in GTA Online, but I think if GTA 6 is a little different, then they're gonna welcome that new experience, and that's cool. And I know tons of people are gonna buy GTA 6. Tons of people are looking forward to it. Also, talking about titles that we're looking forward to, WWE 2K23. It's officially confirmed for a March release, and for some reason they don't have anyone on the cover. I can't figure out why they left.
You can't see him?
Yeah, I can't see him. Yeah,
you can't see him.
Nope, I can't see him. Are you looking forward to WWE 2K23?
Yes. I've not, to be honest, following wrestling wise, I've not really followed wrestling recently, not for a few years now. As a family, we always used to, when it was the Royal Rumble or it was WrestleMania, we'd always watch it. We'd all stay up and watch it, take away, and we'd love it. We used to enjoy doing that, and I kind of fell off it a bit when things were getting way too PG. Some of the stuff they were doing was just like it's beyond a soap opera. It was, so I kind of fell off it, but I've been jumping in here and there, and some good stuff going on. Some new blood, new wrestlers, and on the wrestling game side, I have bought all the rest WWE games. I think I've missed out on 17. Was it 17? 16 or 17 is the one I missed out on.
Okay.
Because there just wasn't out different. Nothing had really changed.
Yeah.
I picked up WWE2K20. Broken as hell. When you just you bounce off the ropes and all of a sudden you start with tremors as you're just stuck in the ropes and things like that. So the break they took, 'cause obviously they took time off to relook at doing the games, fixing it, coming up with something better, and they came up with WWE2K22, which was a really, really good game. And I still play it now. Plays well, nice and smooth, graphics look good, and I love it. I really do enjoy it. And as I said earlier, I keep jumping in and out of it. But that game came out last year. And now we're back to that yearly release. WWE2K23 is coming out, in a couple of months. And it's like, are we back to that game every year? Are we going to get to that stage where it's literally just a roster update, maybe the odd new match type, which I'm hoping not. I do have a lot of faith in this game. I am looking forward to it. I will be picking it up day one. It looks good. They're introducing the War Games match, which is 2 rings in steel cages next to each other. So I'm looking forward to jumping into that. But I'm hoping we're going to see quite a big jump between the previous show to this show. This game to the previous game, with an actual semi-updated roster, because as we know, WWE wrestlers come and go all the time, so it's hard to keep the rosters up to date. But I am looking forward to it. And the game was obviously leaked earlier in the week. The cover star, I can't quite see who it is, so I can't tell you who the cover star is.
Right.
But the release date was leaked, so I think they pretty much come out and said, right, this is the game. This is the release date. This is what you can expect. So, I'll be picking it up, and I'm very much looking forward to it. What about yourself? Are you a wrestling fan? Do you like the games?
I was a big-time wrestling fan for years. Of course, on the Nintendo 64, PS2. I'd always get wrestling games. I kind of fell off for a while. I missed where they transitioned from the way it used to be to the PG way. I do have PlayStation Plus Premium, so I was able to download WWE 2K22. I will be playing through that, and I think if I enjoy that, then I'm probably going to try out, WWE 2K23. Kind of like how I told Friendly Pest that I would consider checking out the PSVR2. It's kind of outside of my thing. I'm not really a VR gamer, but PSVR2 has made tons of improvements, kind of like the WWE 2K franchise. And, if I like what I see, then I'm definitely going to check it out. And that actually moves us into our last topic for the day, which is the PSVR2 lineup. Are you a fan of PSVR2, what they're doing, and have you seen this lineup, and what do you think of it?
Yeah, I did have the PSVR one. Personally, the PSVR one's lineup is better than what's dropping for VR2. But yeah, it's got a good lineup. I did enjoy VR, and I do like VR. I'm definitely a fan of VR. My issue with the PlayStation VR one is you could only really play it in short bursts because it just gave you eye strain,
Yeah,
headaches. You had to have the camera. The camera wasn't that good. The ones were what released from the PlayStation 3. They just literally had loads of them through the warehouse, so they used them as to go with the VR to shift them. And the tracking was not that good. You know, if you look too far one way or the other, or move slightly more to the right, to the left, you lost. You just got this message flashing in your face, and it was very off-putting. Um, but everything we've seen with the VR2, the hands-on impressions, it's more comfortable. It's actually lighter. It's got inside-out tracking, tracks your eyes. It's got dual sense features in the headset and in the controllers. Price point, yeah, that's debatable. Price point wise, I would say it's a bit too much. You know,
yeah,
it's literally the same price as a PlayStation 5, which you need to have that in order to play it. I like the fact that we're down to one cable instead of 10 cables that go into a box that then go back into your TV. And, you know, it was a bit of a nightmare because you didn't have that 4K pass through. You couldn't have that. You could have a maximum of 1080p at most. And that's kind of it was a struggle.
yeah,
But with the VR2, I'm not overly enthusiastic with a lineup for the launch games or the launch window games.
yeah,
Um, I did have a pre-order and I did cancel it for financial reasons. You know, real life stuff has to come first.
yeah, of course.
So I got 3 invites to pre-order the PSVR2 before it went fully out to everyone else. But looking at the games, a lot of the games are already on current VR headsets.
Yeah,
There are games on there that are already out on the PSVR 1, which is just getting upgrade. To be honest, the only one that actually speaks to me the most, and it's a game I played non-VR, game I played VR, and that's No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky is a brilliant game now. That was a game I bought at launch when there was not next to nothing in there. That game's just got better and better as time's gone on. Got it when it got the PSVR update. Picked it up on there again. Absolutely amazing. It put you in a whole different experience in actually climbing in your ship and actually grabbing the throttle and controlling the ship to fly into space, to space stations, to light travel. Brilliant. And the fact that it's actually getting another optimized patch for free if you already own the game on the PlayStation VR2, I just think that's just going to add another 10 years to that game. It really is.
yeah.
But you're looking at, because it's the launch window. I do know today they have just announced the oh god, what's it called? The I can't remember. Switchback, that was it.
Okay.
Switchback, which is like a roller coaster type game. It's the people that made. They did a PlayStation exclusive where it was like a cinematic story-driven game.
You're thinking about Until Dawn.
Until Dawn, that's it. I
Yeah.
just couldn't think of the name. Yeah, the same people that made that, and they also made the
The dark,
PSVR 1 exclusive.
and they made the Dark Pictures
They
anthology, I
did.
believe, right? Yep.
Yeah, they have just announced that, because originally that game was dropping day one of the PSVR 2, but they have just announced today that it is being delayed They're hoping it'll be out in March, but they are having issues at the moment. But yeah, if you're a racing fan, you've got GT7,
Yeah.
Horizon. I like the Horizon games. The VR game looks good, but I can't see that really being a very long game. Job Simulator, that's already out. It's already out on PSVR. It's already out on other headsets. And it's fun. It is actually fun, Job Simulator and Vacation Simulator, but it's not new. We
Yeah.
should be seeing new titles,
Well,
new
yeah.
games.
And the reason though why we're not seeing why we're seeing some of the games that were on PSVR come to PSVR2 is because PlayStation had come out and said that because of the improvements they're making to PSVR2, the games for PSVR are not compatible with PSVR2. So if you enjoyed one of those games, you got to play the upgraded version basically on PSVR2 because it's not going to be a one-to-one equal. It's not a backwards compatible system essentially. But additionally, you have to look at all the quality of life improvements, like you had mentioned, the eye pain. Some people were saying about nausea. The PSVR, it didn't really have the best eye tracking technology, whereas now they invested a lot into improving the headset, making it lighter, making it where it's much more just comfortable for people to use for longer periods of time and to wear. And I think that with a lot of these games having been on PSVR already, it's just the nature of how gaming is anymore. How we're getting a lot of, like, you got like the PlayStation 5, and I know I've criticized this before, The Last of Us Part 1 PS5, but you made a good point. It wasn't geared towards us. It was geared towards people that were watching the show for the first time, or people that were watching the show, they played it back in the day and they wanted to buy it again. And that's kind of why I feel like a lot of these games, they're getting PSVR2 versions as well as the PSVR version already being out in the wild, because the people who pick up these PSVR2s might not have ever bought the PSVR because of all the problems it had with it.
Yeah. And obviously, speaking on The Last of Us, me being right, of course, as I've kind of said on multiple shows, sales of that went up 230%.
Yep.
Just shows how smart Sony and PlayStation really are, and it's paid off for them. So everyone that's saying, "Oh, we don't need this, what's the point? There's your point. There we go.
Yep.
And, that's
you were right.
Yep.
You were right.
Yep. But yeah, again with PlayStation VR2, it's going to be early adopters. They want to shift 1 million headsets in the first year. I don't think that's going to happen personally. Not just because people think, oh no, I don't want it, it's another VR headset. I just think in the state of the world at the moment, the recessions different countries are going in, the cost of living going through the roof. If you don't have a PlayStation 5, you're going to have to buy a PlayStation 5 plus this on top, then games as along with that. So there's over $1,000 just to be able to play them if you don't already have the console. So there's that side of it as well, the cost side of it. I understand the technology, what they're using, and they're probably right with the price, but from for me personally looking to get this headset, it's just too expensive. It's not something. I will pick one up. I will be getting one. Maybe by the end of the year, I'll have one, and hopefully we'll see a lot more games out there, new games. That's what I want to see. It's nice to now and again jump back into an old game that you've not played for a while, like Quantum Break. It's nice for me to jump back into that because I really enjoyed it. But when I look at half the launch games that are coming out for a new piece of hardware, it's like, well, I played all them and they bored me very quickly. And it's like, why would I pay X amount of money? What, $500, I think it is? Why would I want to fork out that to play 90% of the games that I've already played on the other VR? And that's the hard bit. it's good that they're going forward with it. It's good that we're seeing a number 2. I like the first impressions of it are really good. People talking really highly of it, the way it works, the way it interacts, the way it follows your eye movement, and it can do all these amazing things is brilliant. But I just think the cost is too high, and the games that they're releasing are just not. I just don't think. I think it's disappointing. That's my overall view of it. Is literally 90% of them games are already out. In fact, if you look at them, apart from Switchback, Resident Evil Village, all them games are already out. Oh, GT7. So out of that entire lineup, there's 3 games that aren't already out on other headsets and have been out for a while, which is just like that's not the kind of lineup you would have wanted. You would have wanted to see some more. The problem is you want people to adopt this headset. You need to show that studios, first-party studios and third-party studios, are making games for it, new games. I know, COVID, things are delayed. There's been a lot of issues, but this could have been a priority. You knew you were going to be releasing it around this time. You could have had a number of things lined up, ready to go. You've got all this big catalogue of first-party games where you could have made something. You could have made something that was for Spider-Man spin-off as a VR standalone thing. You could have probably made Last of Us in VR and turned it into a first-person game. Uncharted, Ratchet and Clank, Ghost of Tsushima. You could have had a Ghost of Tsushima experience. Could you imagine doing first-person Ghost of Tsushima, even if it was just like a standalone thing where you're doing the samurai and you've got to do the moves and the stances. There's so many things that you could have done, even if there were smaller experiences. And it's just they've not touched any of that. In fact, the only thing that's actually PlayStation exclusive is Horizon, which is launching launch day, and GT7. Other than that, everything else it's just like you could have done something, but it seems like a missed opportunity. Yeah, we're probably going to see something in the future, but you want people to adopt it early, get in there. I think they've gone about it the wrong way.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of potential there, and hopefully they look at a lot of these experiences that they could translate to VR, and they give us some of those experiences, like Ghost of Tsushima and other titles that maybe The Last of Us as a VR title. Who knows? That would be interesting.
Yeah. Is it something? Are you interested in picking up the VR2?
I'm thinking about it. Like I said, there are some titles in there that interest me, but I just have to see how it goes with their support of this title and what other developers are coming forward and saying, hey, you know what, we have a game in development. Because I think that's going to really determine, how well PSVR2 does in the long run.
And just obviously to Pess's comment says, I forgot PS guys only play exclusives. It's not so much that we only play exclusives, it's the fact that they've got this huge catalogue of amazing games that they could have made, even if it was short of experiences. It's something they could have done with their own games and the studios they got. They could have just made something to make it even more unique to the PlayStation ecosystem. I know it's got DualSense features, but we don't know which of these games or how many of these games are actually even going to use it. You might find that 2 or 3 of them games will implement these, and that's it. But again, it just seems like a missed opportunity to me, personally.
Makes sense. I want to thank everyone that dropped into our chat. Friendly Pest, Stubbs, UK Dazarus, Redders was here for a while. Let me see. Thimber was here as well. It's Timmy was here as well. Am I missing anybody, BMG?
We had Redders, popped in. The ghost of Jinner popped in. If anyone didn't know, Jinner got ran over by a truck and then got mauled by a deer, as well as dragged into a forest and interfered with by a bear. So he is no longer with us. God rest his soul, but his spirit lives on in the chats.
Nice. Well, we hope to see him next week, and of course, everyone who stopped by. Thank you so much for watching our podcast. We appreciate it. And for those of you that are listening after the podcast isn't live, we appreciate that as well. BMG, you want to tell our viewers and listeners where they can find you at?
Yeah. First of all, I do want to apologise that the show is a bit shorter tonight. That is because of me. I'm still not feeling 100%. I'm feeling a bit wishy-washy at the moment. So that's the reason we're sort of doing a bit of a shorter show tonight. But we did want to bring you something. You can find me on Twitter at BaldManGamer. PlayStation, if you want to add me on there, is BaldManGamer86, and on Xbox it's BaldManGamer. Also, you can find me on Stacy's chat, which is on Mondays at 9 p.m. GMT. You can also find me obviously here on the PSN Party podcast. With my amazing and friend Sentinel, and you can also find me on the XBL Party podcast, as we're part of the newly branded XBN network, where we have numerous different content, numerous things going on. So yeah, always keep an eye on our socials to see what we are up to. Well, thanks for having me here this evening.
It's always great to have you, BMG. Definitely a great team, the PSN Party Podcast, like a great tag team, like Hulk and Animal of Legion of Doom. That's right.
Yeah, that's it. Well, that's it. I like that.
For me, for those of you that don't know, I am on Twitter. I tweet a hell of a lot, probably more than I should. I'm also on Twitch. It's S3NT1N3L17. It's Sentinel17, and as BMG had stated, I am on Stasis Chat. I'm on the PSN Party Podcast, obviously, and on the XBL Party Podcast. They are rebranding. It's XBN Network now. So if you see that on YouTube and you're like, hey, I don't remember these guys, I don't remember subscribing to this, XBL is becoming XPN, just so you know. But that's pretty much where you can find me. Also, tomorrow, do not forget we are watching the Xbox developer deep dive direct, whatever the hell it's called. Do you know what time that is?
It's the developer direct. It goes live at 8:00, 8 p.m. GMT. I think we'll be going live about 7:45 GMT PM. So, but just keep an eye out on the socials. We will post it on there to make everyone aware the exact time. But I do think we're aiming to go live about 15 minutes before the show goes live.
Okay, so for my time, that's Central Standard Time in the U.S., and of course that means we're going live at 1:45. If you're on the East Coast, that's 2:45.
I'm glad you knew that, because I didn't have a clue.
Yeah, I actually had to look it up a couple weeks ago, so I just wanted to put that out. But anyways, thank you so much for showing up at our PSN Party Podcast. Thank you for watching. For those that are listening later on, thank you for listening. We appreciate it. And we will catch you guys later.
Yeah. See you later, guys. Thank you.